that moving speech. I would now like to invite our last speaker of tonight, Michelangelo, who hails from the lands of sun and wine, Italy.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelangelo. I come from Italy, where I grew up speaking only Italian with my friends and family. Before starting learning languages, I believed they were simply a tool, just something that you use to communicate with people. But tonight I want to show you how languages are way more than that. It is not just a tool through which we speak. It is how we see. It is how we feel. It is how we exist in the world. But before I start, I wanted to do a small experiment with you. Just listen. Sto tornando a casa. Ich komme zurück nach Hause. Ieni kaerimasu. Me gar arahahu. Now, ask yourself, which one sounded softer? Which one is more serious? Which one is warmer? And which one felt more familiar? The majority between you probably didn't understand each sentence, but yet your brain still reacted, made judgments. You formed impressions and you felt something. This connects to my statements. Languages are not just an agglomerate of vocabulary and grammar. They are rhythms, cultures, histories, identities. But if a language can make you feel something even when you do not understand it, what will happen when you do understand it? What happens when the language starts being part of the voice of your thoughts? When I speak Italian, I feel expressive, and my hands start moving, and I feel more connected with my roots. When I speak German, I feel precise, disciplined, with a structure. When I speak Greek, I feel more active, and a sense of happiness is born inside me. It is not just a mere translation of words. It is a shift in perspective. Each language has its own values, directness or politeness, individuality or community, looking at the past or the future. And when you start navigating between them, you start noticing that your identity is not fixed. It adapts and expands. So the question is, who are you when you change language? And how do languages change the world you see? Let me tell you briefly about my personal experience. I was raised in a monolingual environment. Although fascination towards languages has always been present in my life, it was just a passive feeling. Then I started learning French and German in high school, and I started enjoying them. But the real turning point happened unexpectedly. One day, I was given a book to learn Chinese. I was not taking it seriously, it was just a gift, and I ignored it and never completed it. But a seed had been planted in me. For months, that book just sat there, but still it was calling me. Eventually, I decided to start committing to it. I started learning new ways to think. Now I speak some more, but I'm still obsessed not only with languages, but with the process behind them, the patterns, the psychology, the science of translated thoughts. People often ask me, how did you manage to learn so many of them by yourself? That is not the interesting part. The interesting part is what comes after. What happens to a person when they start exploring new brain paths? At first, I thought I was just adapting. But then I asked myself, who am I in each language? Am I pretending to be someone else, or Am I discovering some parts of me that were always there hidden? This makes me think about the quote by Wittgenstein. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Therefore, when my language expands, my world does it too. And with it, my identity. Every language is a lens through which I perceive reality differently. In English we say, I'm looking forward to the day after tomorrow. The future is in front of us, the past is behind, right? However, in Mandarin something fascinating happens. To say the day after tomorrow, they say 后天. However, 后天 literally means the day behind. And to say 2 days ago, they say 前天, literally the day in front. The future can be behind you and the past in front of you. Imagine this for a moment. You are facing the past. You can see it. It is visible, known. It already happened. But the future is unknown, behind you and unseen. The Chinese syntax too, which often omits tense markers, encourages you to think of time as dependent by the context, rather than fixed. It lets time emerge from the situation itself. Let me give you some other examples. In Russian, verbs do not just tell you when something happened. They force you to decide how something happened. For example, я делал домашнее задание. It means I've done my homework. But it is still unknown whether you have finished them or not. On the other hand, я сделал домашнее задание means that I have done my homework and I have already finished them. Grammar forces you to decide about your sense of being. Did you complete something? Are you in the middle of doing something? Here, it's language that decides. Another example. In French, you have to choose between je savais et j'ai su in order to say I knew. Same verb, different tenses. Je savais indicates an ongoing process of knowledge. Je suis is a sudden realization. Same verb, different word use. Different emotions, changing perspective. Languages are not just a tool we use. They are a structure that frames how we construct meaning. So now I ask you, if your grammar constantly asks you whether the action is complete, whether time is in front or behind you, whether knowledge was gradual or sudden, doesn't it shape your life? Language does not just describe reality, it organizes it, it frames it. And when you change language, you change the frame. Languages didn't just change the way I think, they changed what happened to me. Every language added more people to my life. A shop owner telling me about his childhood. A waiter smiling differently after I ordered in his language. A stranger who stopped being a stranger the moment I asked for direction in words that belonged to him. And all my friends I made in my school, and these friendships born not from just from similarities, but from an effort and understanding, all connected by languages. There is that specific moment, maybe you have experienced it too, when someone realized that you have made the effort to speak in their language. It is not just about grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, it touches something deeper. Something that the ancient Greeks would have called psyche, the soul, the breath of life, that's inner spirit. When you learn someone's language, you're saying, I am willing to see the world the way you see it. At first, it feels really uncomfortable, right? Blurry and distorted, but then the focus adjusts and you realize that the world is always larger than you think. Each lens widens your perspective, deepens it, and adds dimension. Language never changed who I am at my core. They changed who I can become. This is undoubtedly one of the best parts and revolutionary things from learning language. The untranslatable words. Words that carry entire emotions universe inside them. Let me give you some examples. In Portuguese, saudade, missing someone or something, but tenderly, beautifully and painfully, all at the same time. In Japanese, komorebi, the sunlight filtered through the leaves of trees. In German, Fernweh, the ache to go somewhere you've never been to. In Russian, Toska, a deep, aching, existential longing, often without any reason. In Arabic, tarab, a heightened state of consciousness, an intensely pleasant experience or an intense state of emotion, accompanied by awareness of a musical or poetic performance. Each of these words captures something precise, something human, something that is recognizable. But here is the unsettling question. If your language doesn't have a word for something, does it go unseen or just unspoken? Maybe you just feel that it is unnamed. However, the moment you learn a word like saudade, you suddenly recognize that feeling inside you and you think, this is how I feel. The experience was always there, but now it's somehow illuminated. And when something has a name, you can hold it, share it, understand it. Thus, how much reality are we missing simply because we do not yet have the language to see it clearly? Now, let me teach you one of them. It is from Greek, meraki. It means to do something wholeheartedly, with soul, with love, and with your true self in it. Say it after me, meraki.
Meraki.
Say it again, meraki.
Meraki.
Congratulations, now you're officially more multilingual than you were 5 minutes ago. Maybe now you have changed a bit of your perspective too. You could start feeling meraki in your life, in your world. In today's society, we praise perfection. We admire fluency, confidence, and effortlessness. And we rarely celebrate the beginner. But when you learn a new language, you experience something unusual. You become a child again. You mispronounce words, you hesitate, you make tons of mistakes. Let me tell you this. In Chinese, for example, there's a huge beginner trap. If you say 老师, it means teacher. However, if you don't slip a bit and accidentally you say 老师, it means old shit. Then goes silence, and you feel really, really stupid and small. In tonal languages, pitch is not just sound, it carries meaning. And suddenly, you're not the confident adult you are in your native language. You are slow. You rely on kindness. You listen harder. You smile more. You become aware of your fragility. Learning a new language is the only time adults willingly become beginners again. It is deeply humbling, but humility is powerful. Because when you have struggled to form a sentence, when you have searched for a word, found only silence, when you have felt the vulnerability of not being understood, you become less quick to judge others. The foreigner with an accent, the person that speaks slowly, the one who mixes up tenses. You start seeing effort instead of errors. And maybe this is one of the quietest revolutions of language learning. It makes you more patient, more attentive, more compassionate. Because once you have beat the outsider, you recognize them, and instead of judging them, you understand them. I still remember the first time I realized I was thinking in another language. Not just translating, but thinking, dreaming, arguing. That's when it hits me. My languages don't make me smarter at all. They make my world bigger. They don't just increase my vocabulary. They expand my perspective. They make it harder to stereotype, to make assumptions, to rely on the comfort of not knowing. People say languages are becoming useless, that now technology translates everything. The AI can do the work for us. But language was never just about communication. It is about connection. Communication transfers information. Connection transfers humanity. And that is why the words of Nelson Mandela resonate so deeply. If you speak to a man in a language that he understands, that goes to his brain. But if you speak to a man in his language, that goes to his heart. So no, you don't need 14 languages. You don't need fluency without mistakes. You don't need perfection. You need just one more. One more language. One more lens. Because one more language is one more bridge, one more heart reached, and one step toward a larger world. Thank you.